has a very, especially Srila Prabhupada's, among Srila Prabhupada's books, it has a very unique position. Because there are, amongst all of the books that we have available, there are some which are clearly the top, on the top level, right? So which are those? One of them? Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, one more. Yes, Nectar of Devotion. And then amongst these four, with the fifth one is Sri Ishopanishad. Ishopanishad comes under Shruti. The Vedic literature is divided in two parts. One is Shruti and one is Smriti. So if you were to quote anything, usually people say, where is the Shruti evidence? Some schools, some Vedic schools, they don't accept the Smritis, particularly the Shankaras. They only accept from the Shruti. They don't accept the Smriti. So we have two particular divisions, Shruti and Smriti. Shruti means it's heard, it's spoken, directly revealing knowledge about the Lord. Smriti means it's remembered. So we'll look into those divisions further, right, as we discuss a little bit more about the Ishopanisads. So what I'd like us to do is to go through the introduction for the Ishopanishad. Now, as Prabhuji here said, Isha means the Lord, Supreme Lord, and Upanishad means to sit near. So basically, Ishopanishad is, if you were to say what does Ishopanishad mean, it basically means knowledge that will take us closer to Krishna. That's what Ishopanishad means. Yes. Knowledge that brings one closer to Krishna. So what we shall do is, we go through the introduction, because Srila Prabhupada has given a wonderful introduction. You can see this book, Ishopanishad, was published in 1970. Before that, it was published in the Back to Godhead magazine. Srila Prabhupada was publishing one shloka in the Back to Godhead magazines. So it's amongst the books that came, that Srila Prabhupada was translating. Ishopanishad was right up there. It's that important for us, right? So what we'll do is, we'll read a few paragraphs, each one of us, while passing around. We don't have the book, so I'm guessing everyone has smartphones with hopefully Gita based on it, right? So we'll read through the introduction and then continue discuss. But why should we accept knowledge from the Vedas?
The Vedas are perfect.
Yes, Vedas are perfect, right? Very good. Vedas are perfect. How are they perfect? They are free from 4 defects. So what are these 4 defects? Number 1? Mistake, right? And Prabhupada is giving the example of Mahatma Gandhi. He was told, don't go, until he went. He did a mistake and he Haribol, just 2 days before everyone was celebrating his birthday. But here Prabhupada is saying he was committing so many mistakes. By nature, a human being means to commit mistakes. Second, to be illusioned. Yes. The greatest illusion is we think we have this body. Right? You see a rope and you think it is a snake. And you see a snake and you think it is a rope. So, although someone may say, no, I am not illusioned, I am seeing perfectly. Yeah, you are seeing, but how are you decoding it? You are seeing something lying on the street. But you are seeing that object, but you are thinking it's something else. Illusion. Like we go to a desert and we see a mirage in the desert. There's butter on the sand. Illusion. So that's our problem. Because sometimes even people, this is the greatest illusion is we think we're the body. But even within that illusion, there are so many other illusions. People refuse to see the truth. Even though they may be seeing it with their own eyes. Just like another example Srila Prabhupada gives is the sun. You ask a child, how big is the sun? What do you think he'll tell? What do you think the child will tell? How big is the sun? Yeah, I see in the sky is this much. We're seeing, but even though we are seeing, it's not correct. Right? It's not correct. So we think, oh, the sun is only this big. We don't know it's a whole big planet, even bigger than Earth. But we are seeing it only this much. So illusion. Then the third one, cheating propensity. Did you eat the rasgulla? No, I didn't. By default, we want to cheat. Prabhupada gives the example of businessmen. For you, I'm making no profit. And especially if it's like a business, a family person or a relative, then they make the most profit out of them. Because they know they're not going to go anywhere else, they're going to come here, so you get the most money. So cheating. People write so many things. You know, Darwin cheated the whole world. Now everyone is finding out, oh, he cheated us. So now they've stopped teaching his theory. But cheating propensity is all there. Which example does Srila Prabhupada give about the cheating? Talks about a fool, no? Person may be fool number one. He doesn't know anything, he's talking so many things. Cheating everyone. And then finally, our imperfect senses. People want to say, can you show me God? But we don't even, if the lights go out in dark, we don't even know where our hand is. Can't see our own hand. So how can we see God? Not possible. Therefore, any knowledge that is by a conditioned soul will be subjected to these kind of four defects. Apart from it being free from four defects, how do we know or how can we tell others that the Vedas are the perfect authority? One is clear. Srila Prabhupada here is saying Vedic literature is free from four defects. Second, why should we believe in the authority of the Vedas? What are some other reasons? And you all have been studying Vedic literature, right? Maybe even teaching Vedic literature to others. So if someone asks you, why should I listen to the Vedas or why should I believe the Vedas? What do you tell them? Wow, the silence is discomforting. What would you tell someone? Why if he challenges you, why should I listen to the Vedas?
The Vedas are perfect, and all the things which are everything is undeniable.
Yes.
No one can defeat.
Very good. The other point is, it cannot be proved wrong. If someone challenges that, why should I, okay, you bring me one Vedic statement which is proved wrong. We'll see, Prabhupada will give more on that further. So there are two things. One, free from four defects. Two, the knowledge cannot be proved wrong. Even today, like we have in the Bhagavatam, in the third canto, Bhagavatam was written 5,000 years ago. Just after the disappearance of Lord Krishna from this planet. Bhagavatam was written then. And in that, there is a description of the conversation between Kapila and Devahuti, which was happening in Satyayuga. because the descendants of Swayambhuva Manu are being described. So it happened in Satyayuga, which if we even just take this calculation for Satyayuga, that's at least 1.7 million years ago. And there, Lord Kapila, he is giving instructions of how the fetus grows within the womb. According to modern science, they didn't know this even as recent as 150 years ago. What are each of the stage of the fetus? But Vedic knowledge had it. And you read that, and you read now what they say, and it's line to line. So the knowledge in the Vedas cannot be proved wrong. There is a third aspect. Today something may be right. Yeah. Just like we have fresh milk. So today it is fresh. But if I don't refrigerate it, what will happen? It will spoil. So tomorrow it will not be fresh. So its freshness is only true for one day. Like there is a saying in English language that even a spoiled clock is right twice in a day, isn't it? If the clock is spoiled at 2 o'clock, then twice in a day it will be right. But the other times it will not be right. But Vedic literature is right always. Not that it was right 500 years ago and will not be right 500 years later. See, just like Darwin's theory was accepted. But now it is not. Because it was a theory. So the Vedic literature is not theory, it's fact. It is proven. And it stood the test of time. The sages in Satyayuga, they were hearing the Vedas. In Dwapar Yuga it was also true. Treta Yuga it was also true. And in Kali Yuga it's also true. It stands the test of time. And Vedic information doesn't only relate to this one kalpa. Since the time it was, material world was created, since that time Vedic literature has been existing and it has never been proven wrong, nor has it changed. It stood the test of time. Stood the test of time. So these three things are there, that's why we accept Vedas as authority. Number one, free from 4 defects. Because it's from perfect source. Perfect knowledge from perfect source. Number 2, it cannot be proven wrong. And number 3, it stood the test of time. Means it is true eternally. Not that it was true 3 years ago, now it's no longer true. So that's one major aspect of why Srila Prabhupada wanted the Ishopanishad as one of our books. So tomorrow, because in the Vedic literature, as I was explaining this, Smriti, Bhagavad Gita comes under Smriti. How? Because Smriti contains Itihasas and Puranas, amongst other things. So under the Itihasas there is Ramayana and Mahabharata. Under Mahabharata then comes Bhagavad Gita. But Bhagavad Gita, and although it is under Smriti, it is called Gitopanishad. It's like we're reading about Ishopanishad. So Gita is called Gitopanishad. So although it is classified under Smriti, but it's technically Shruti. Because Krishna himself spoke it. But then the other one, Puranas. Under the Puranas, the 18 Puranas and Mahapurana is Srimad Bhagavatam. So usually, other Vedic scholars, if we start quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam, they'll go down there. That is Smriti. Quote from Shruti. Quote from Shruti. Therefore, we have Ishopanishad. No one can say no, Ishopanishad is not a bona fide book. So Srila Prabhupada, therefore, he wanted the Shruti to come as Ishopanishad and give Krishna consciousness through the Ishopanishad. This is the beauty of the Ishopanishad, especially One, that it establishes Krishna consciousness within the Shruti. It takes the reader from an impersonal conception of the Lord to a personal conception. And thirdly, all this technical knowledge of the Vedas is accessible to us in English, in a very easy to understand form. So that's why Srila Prabhupada emphasized, yes, Ishopanishad. And it's only 18 mantras. The Ishopanishad falls under the Shukla Yajurveda. It's the last book of the Shukla Yajurveda, which has about 40 chapters. So the last chapter is Ishopanishad. So it can be traced. No one can say no. The Ishopanishad is not Shruti. Srila Prabhupada writes, and I'll just read as we continue with the introduction. Regarding the Upanishads, the following 11 are considered to be topmost. So as Prabhu said here, there are 108 Upanishads, and amongst those 108, 11 are considered topmost. Which are these? Isha, Kena, Katha, Prashna, Mundaka, Mandukya, Taistirya, Atreya, Chandogya, Brihad Aranyaka, and Svetashvatara. These are the 11 topmost Upanishads, and you will find in the Bhagavad Gita all these Upanishads are quoted. Bhagavatam also, all these Upanishads are quoted. Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad is the one where we usually use Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. Iti Sotushkaka Namanam Kali Kalmanashanashanam. That's coming from Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad. That these 16 names are the Mahamantra for Kali. And then you'll find like Svetashvatara Upanishad about the two birds sitting in the tree. One is eating the fruits and another is simply witnessing. All these Upanishads have been quoted many, many times in our books. But amongst all these 108, these are 11 topmost. And amongst the 11 topmost, which is the number one? Ishopanishad. Ishopanishad. So Ishopanishad is a very, very powerful Upanishad. Now, as I was explaining, in the Shruti you have 4 Vedas: Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva. Under the 4 Vedas you have 4 divisions. Each Veda has 4 divisions. You have the Samhitas. The Samhitas are the songs. Then you have Brahmanas. Brahmanas are how the songs are to be sung. Then you have the Aranyakas. Aranyakas means what is the meaning of the song. And then you have the Upanishads, which are, Srila Prabhupada calls them as the headlines of the Vedas. So you have the Vedic knowledge, and I have a chart here, but we don't have a projector, so. So you have the Samhitas, which are songs or mantras. Then you have the Brahmanas, which are the explanations on how to chant. Yes. Then the Aranyakas, hidden meaning of the mantras. And then the Upanishads or the headlines. So each Veda has these 4 divisions. Right? And then you have the Upa-Vedas. Upa-Vedas means they are like Vedas but not, technically of the 4. So you have Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, etc., etc. So these are known as Upa-Vedas. They are part of the Vedic knowledge but not classified in the 4 main books. Yeah. And then after that is still under Shruti, the Upa-Vedas. Yeah. And then after that you have the Vedangas, the limbs of the Vedas. Yeah. These are Nyaya, Nirukta, Chanda, Jyotish, Vyakaran, Shiksha, Kalpa, how to pronounce the mantras, how to chant the mantras, and then the various meanings of the mantras, so on and so forth. Like Jyotish is, Jyotish, astrology, time calculation and all that. That's all part of Shruti. And in Smriti then, you have the Puranas, you have the Itihasas, you have the Tantras, and you have the Sad-darshans. Vyasadeva had 6 disciples, and to each disciple he gave a particular philosophy. Those are known as the shad-darshans. So you have Jaiminis, right? You have Patanjali, all these people, we have it here. Vedanta, Vyasadeva himself took. Then there is Mimamsa, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Yoga, and Sankhya. So these are the Sad-darshans that were entrusted to, each one was entrusted to a specific disciple of Vyasadeva. And they really promoted that particular school of thought. So therefore, in the Vedic knowledge, we have the Ishopanishad, which is the headline of the Yajurveda explaining who is Krishna. Therefore, it is so important. Amongst the Vedic knowledge, it has a special place. Okay, so let us continue with the introduction. What I just explained, Srila Prabhupada will write in his own words very nicely. Right? So here Srila Prabhupada is explaining that the Vedic principles are true, like we mentioned. 1, free from 4 defects. 2, it cannot be proved false. Right? So here Srila Prabhupada is giving an example of what cannot be proved false. Vedic in literature is telling us society is divided into 4 types of varnas. Right? And these 4 varnas, everywhere you go, you'll find them. And the 4 ashrams also, everywhere you go, you'll find them. Right? Whether you say it's Africa, whether you say it's India, whether you say it's US, whether you say any ancient civilization, they had this varna and ashram. Even today, we have mostly varna and ashram, some sort of classification. Right? And then the second example Srila Prabhupada is giving is of cow dung. Vedas is saying cow dung is pure. It cannot be proved. So therefore he is saying there is a scientist who, analyzed cow dung and found it is antiseptic. It is pure. It is pure. Okay, so we continue. So now Srila Prabhupada is bringing another aspect into the introduction. First was the 4 defects, then a classification of the Vedic literature, saying it's Shruti. Ishopanishad is part of the Shruti. Shruti means it's heard, it's perfect knowledge, right? And then now the divisions is bringing is 3 types of evidence. Pratyaksha means evidence that we get from our senses. You want to know how hot the water is, how will you tell? You put your finger in it. If it burns, then it's too hot. Yeah? You want to know how cold the water is, the same way you put your foot in it and it's like, oh, too cold. And so that's evidence we get from direct perception, from our senses. Yeah, you want to know how dirty the room is, you look, you see, you feel. Right? So from our senses, then we kind of get some evidence that yes, this is the kind of thing. Just like color. Color is actually, we can only know a color of a thing when we see it. If you turn off the lights, then there is no meaning to color. Everything is dark. Color, the definition of color is how the light reflects off a specific object. There is no real thing like, you cannot go and get a blue color. No. Blue comes when the light, specific objects, when they reflect light in a particular way, then it appears to our eyes as blue. It's amazing actually. If you ask anyone what is color, most people will not be able to explain what color is. But how it's reflecting, how the light is reflecting, that is what is color. So, direct perception. We hear something, we see something, we taste something. If you want to know if the food has gone bad or not, you put it in the mouth, then you know, oh, definitely bad. Right? Otherwise it will look good. The piece of cake will look good until you put it in the mouth. Then you know if it's fresh or it's gone off already. Yeah? But direct perception is not always the best. For some things, Srila Prabhupada is giving the example, and we already spoke about it, the sun. we can see it, but we can see the ocean. We can't tell how deep it is just by looking at it. Sometimes, like I was driving towards Pune and coming back, some of those buildings that we were passing by were they were looking very small. But actually, if you go next to the building, then you find out, oh, it's a big skyscraper. Right? So our direct perception is not really the best way of gathering evidence. Then the other thing is Anuman, inductive knowledge. Where there is smoke, there is fire. But not always where there is smoke, there is fire. Sometimes there may be smoke, but no fire. So, like Darwin, he saw, there are these people who look like us, monkeys. Many extrapolated. Monkeys are also, having 5 fingers, and they also sometimes walk straight, and, they look like us, 2 eyes, 2 nose, 2 ears. So we must have come from them. We are advanced monkeys, tailless monkeys. They had tail. So he was sitting and he was just theorizing. But Anuman is also not knowledge. Right? It's not perfect. Because it's speculation. We are sitting and we are speculating. Right? How many cups of tea must Narendra Modi be having in a month? He was a chaiwala, so he must be having some tea. Right? But we don't know. We just speculate. But then, Srila Prabhupada is saying the perfect evidence is hearing, shabda. And he gives the example of the mother. Yes, you can experiment, you can go and have a DNA test and, paternity test and determine whether actually who your biological father is. Or you can ask your mother and everything is settled. You don't have to wait and undergo expensive tests and get a court order to get a paternity test done, so on and so forth. You can just ask your mother, believe her, that's it, finished. So the same way Srila Prabhupada is saying, Shabda is there, that Shabda is Veda. It's there, you don't need to experiment. You can experiment, but you'll come to the same conclusion, just like we quoted Kapila's description of the growth of the fetus in the womb. You can go and experiment at every step, you monitor the pregnancy and see. Or you can read Kapila's description and it will be exactly the same. You'll save time. So Srila Prabhupada is saying you have to save time because the time is limited. Time is limited. Therefore, we hear from the authoritative source, then we are okay. We are okay. That's the Shabda Praman, and he is giving the example of the radio guide or the TV guide. If you want to know what program is coming at what time, just get it from an authoritative source that at this time there will be this interview, at that time there will be this news, and you don't have to now go around and ask and experiment, and right, you already accept it. It's the truth. So we have 4 defects, right? We have the 3 sources. And now the last part of the introduction, Srila Prabhupada will make a very important point. And so Lord Krishna, He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What He says in the Bhagavad Gita, we simply accept it. We don't question it, we don't do an experiment because we don't have the time. Srila Prabhupada is giving the example of someone who wants to know if man is immortal. There was a story, a guy who wanted to know, he went to each and every house, he said, do you know anyone who has not died? And they said, no, everyone has died. So he's like, no, there must be someone who has not died. He goes from village to town and country to country, and finally he himself dies. Right? Research inconclusive. So, better we hear. Srila Prabhupada is giving the example, this stuff beyond our knowledge, beyond our understanding, like the spiritual world. How will you experiment if the spiritual world exists or not? You can't. How do you experiment if there is life after that? You can't. But you accept what the Vedas are saying. Many people, they say, how can you blindly accept? We are not blindly accepting. We are accepting the fact that They are things beyond our understanding. Therefore, we hear from the authorized source. We hear from Shabda. We hear from Krishna. This is, someone may say, well, it's blind faith. You're hearing from Krishna. No. That's why Srila Prabhupada has gone through a whole, methodological way of presenting this. That first of all, we understand it's free from four defects. Second, there are three types of evidences. And we are accepting the best evidence, Shabda. We're accepting the best evidence from the perfect person. You can experiment, but your experiment will be inconclusive. Therefore, we simply accept. And he's saying it's not only us. All the authorities also have accepted. Both transcendentalists from Shankara school or from the Vaishnava school, all of them have accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, we are hearing. There was one time someone was challenging Srila Prabhupada. So and so says this. Prabhupada says, who is so and so? Why should I hear so and so? Who is he? Why should I even bother? Right? Prabhupada says, I hear Lord Krishna. Whatever Lord Krishna says, we accept. Who are these other people? I don't know who they are. They're nobody. Therefore, he's saying Krishna consciousness we hear from. Yes? We have, because he is the one who can give the right knowledge. Anyone else they can. And Prabhupada is quoting how Brahma also got the knowledge. Tene hridaya Brahma adikave. And this is from the Bhagavatam, the first verse, where it's mentioned that this Vedic knowledge was imparted by the Lord himself into the heart of Brahma. So Brahma is the grandfather and Veda is the mother. And in this way we get the knowledge. Right? Now there is one more aspect. As Lord Srila Prabhupada is saying that you have to get it from an authority. So who is this authority? Now Srila Prabhupada will explain who is this authority from whom we can get the Vedas. So we have the Vedas given to us, but in order to rightly get the knowledge from the Vedas, there is the importance of the Guru. And what are the qualifications of the Guru? Tad Gurum Evapi Kachet. One Tasmat Gurum Prapadyeta. One must go to the Guru. But who is this Guru? Shrotriyam Samit Pani Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. He is heard, Shrotriyam. He has heard from the right source and he is fixed in Brahma. These are his two qualifications of a bona fide Guru. And therefore the importance of parampara is brought. Right? Brahma, Narada, otherwise why did Srila Prabhupada include the disciplic succession in the Bhagavad Gita? Right? To show that this is Shrotriyam. This knowledge is Shrotriyam. Yes, it is Shruti, but it is coming in that disciplic succession. Brahma, as he understood it, he explained to Narada, Narada explained to Vyas, Vyas explained to Madhva, Madhva explained to his disciples until it came to Ishwarapuri, from Ishwarapuri to Mahaprabhu, from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the six Goswamis, from them to Baladev Vidyabhushan, then all the way down to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta, and to show it, Shrotriyam. These are all people who have heard from the right source. And then they are fixed in Krishna consciousness. They are Brahmanishta. As Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he gives a story. There was a blind man. He was going to meet his future wife. So he left his village to go to the wife's village. But because he is blind, kind of didn't reach the right place. So he was wandering here and there and he found one coward man. He told the coward man, can you show me can you point me in the right direction of the village? And I want to go to this particular house. So the coward man said, I cannot go with you right now because I'm on duty. But there is this cow that comes from that house. And that cow automatically goes, at the end of the day it will go to that house. So what you do is, you hold the tail of this cow, you will reach the house. So the blind man, he held the cow's tail, but because the cow was irritated that this guy is holding my tail, so the cow started running. And you can imagine someone is holding the tail and the cow is running. He fell down, all over the stones, and cow went over the hills and on the dirt road, and by the time the cow reached home, this guy was not wearing any cloth because everything was torn, right? The cow was going here and there, right? He was bruised. The cow was even kicking him in the head, trying to get him off the tail. So as he reached his would-be wife's house, he was completely naked, cut up, bleeding, had swellings here and there on the face. So the chokidar, he saw him and he was like, hey, who is this guy? The chokidar also ran after him with a stick and said, no, you get lost. Who are you? We don't know who you are. We cannot let someone like this in our house. Get out. So, without the guru, one may study the Vedas. He will get to the gates, but the guru is the chokidar. So he'll get to the gate, but he'll not be able to understand. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada is saying, one may study the Vedas and may get an understanding of Krishna, but it is very, very difficult. But with the guru, it becomes easy, right? Because they know, here, this is the way. Yeah. Like, we've had experience with Google Maps. You look for something particular, especially here in India. There was one time we were looking for one particular shop, and the map was saying the shop is at one particular place. But in reality, it was a little bit further ahead. And if you're in a new city, in a new place, you're relying on Google. But ultimately, we had to ask someone in that area, where is this place? So, going to Krishna, just using the Vedas is like using Google Maps. It will get you around there, in between there, right? But to get to the exact place, you need a guru. You need someone who has understood the transcendental fact. So, later on in the rest of the introduction, Srila Prabhupada explains about what we've already talked about, the divisions of the Vedas and how one Veda was split into 4 because of Kali Yuga, brain and all that, right? So in summary, the introduction of Srila Prabhupada, it contains 4 elements. One is the division of the Vedas, Shruti, Smriti, right? 2, it's free from 4 defects. The 4 defects of conditional life are being discussed. Number 3, the 3 types of evidence: Pratyaksha, direct evidence from the senses; Anuman, speculation; and Shabda, sound. And then lastly, he discusses about Parampara, how Shabda has to be received in Parampara. You cannot get Shabda from anywhere else. So one has to approach a bona fide guru, and then in that way he'll be able to understand Krishna. So in the coming weeks we will look at now the invocation and the rest of the verses one by one. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions? How many have read the Ishopanishad before?